Um, the speaker tonight, I've heard one other time, and I think it was his first lead. And I remember there were a lot of compliments and comments afterwards. And I'm sure it'll be the same tonight. I'm sure we'll all get something from his lead. With that, welcome to the podium, Deric. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Deric and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is 8/1/21. I have a sponsor, his name's Greg. I work the steps. So we'll go ahead and start from the beginning. I didn't actually grow up. I was born in a town not too far away from here.
Hey, you got theme music, man. I like that.
Yeah. I was born in a town not too far away from here, Sydney, Ohio. I lived there for a couple years. I'm born to a mother that's an alcoholic, a father that's an alcoholic, and they're both drug addicts too. And most of my family that's still alive are alcoholics and addicts. Few of them got clean along the way, most didn't. Most of them never got to see the rooms of recovery, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, I was born into a pretty crazy life. My parents were, well, my mom was, I had an older brother. She was 16 when she had him, and she was 18 when she had me. Um, And then, the blizzard happened. I was born in '77 in September. Then the blizzard happened, like 3 months later. So I was a blizzard baby. Um, and yeah, that probably was a mess for my mom with two kids, being 18, just barely 18 years old, and having a drug problem and an alcohol problem already of her own. So her and my dad weren't together. They were married, but they weren't together very long. Actually, I don't ever remember them being together. They didn't divorce finally till I was probably 7 or 8. But yeah, they weren't together very long. So there was a time when me and my brother was probably 3 or 4, and they couldn't take care of us anymore. So they took us to my grandma and grandpa's house, and they kept us for like a year and a half. It was the only time I ever got to spend with my grandpa, either one of my grandpas in my life. So it was a good time in my life. I'm sure it sheltered us from some of the stuff, but it was just later. We were just a little bit older. So my parents had split up at that point, and I was probably 5, and my mom had gotten me and my brother back, and moved us to a town not too far from Sydney, Pickaway, Ohio, and that's where I went from first grade to um, my first year in high school, in Pickaway, Ohio. I didn't have much. I didn't have many friends, really. I was shy. I was kind of more the loner type. I I did pick up a couple friends, along the way, and they were kind of like bad influences, but I hadn't started really, I grew up my whole life knowing about drugs and alcohol, so I mean it was no secret, my older brother, my mom and dad actually, they kept him out of kindergarten because they didn't want him to go tell the teacher or the principal or whoever was going to ask any questions what was going on in our house, and because You know, my dad was one of the major drug dealers of the town, and they were afraid that, you know, they sent him to school that, you know, he was going to get them busted. So they kind of had to, I mean, that's just the insanity, you know, even saying that now. It's just the insanity to think about that, not sending your kids to school because, you know, you don't want to get thrown in fucking prison. Um, so, um, there's a couple things in my childhood that, you know, really I think shaped me. When I was 10, you know, it's like, I don't know, a day or two before Christmas, and I remember, you know, my dad coming in, and he told, you know, me and my brother that his brother had just got killed last night in a car wreck, you know. I was really close to my uncle, you know, and you know, he died the same way, you know. He, drunk driving, he got in a wreck, car rolled over and decapitated him. So that really, it really hurt, you know, and I don't know that I got over that for a long time, you know. So I really wasn't having much problems, you know, until up around 13, 14, and then I didn't want to listen to my mom. I didn't, you know, I was starting to have behavioral issues. Um, didn't want to go to school. So she was pretty strict, you know. She was, you know, she was an alcoholic that she's been drunk every day of my life. But she was strict, you know, to a point, you know. But it really didn't do any good for me. So really, I got tired of her telling me what I was going to do or what I couldn't do. So I went to live with my father. That, you know, I knew that, you know, I could pretty much do what I wanted. So I was 15 and I moved back to Sydney. You know, and it was probably, you know, that's when everything changed. That summer, I moved there after my freshman year of high school, and that was the summer, you know, everything, you know, changed for me. That was, I'd had a couple beers, probably up to that occasion, but I'd never been anywhere near intoxicated. But yeah, that summer changed all that, you know, and we stole a bottle of booze off of one of my dad's friends, and me and my cousin drank it, and you know, I got so freaking. But I remember I got so sick, and I was next day was horrible. But I remember taking that drink and what it felt like, and you know, and from that point, you know, which you know is kind of like the rest of my life. I didn't ease into anything. I didn't graduate into anything. I went full board right from the rip. Um, it was yeah, I was drinking like an adult with adults at 15, 16 years old. There was always somebody in the neighborhood that could get alcohol, or you know, my brother was older. You know, my dad. There was always people, you know, and even my dad. Even bad to say this, but my dad would, you know, he would buy me alcohol. He had missed my whole childhood, and he had thought like he tried to be that cool dad that he would win some kind of something, you know. But you know, yeah, we were drinking, but you know, we drank, and so I'm like 15, 16. That's when you know, that summer is when I started smoking weed. Got involved with girls. Um, and not too long after that, I got the first girl that I first started talking to knocked up right at I was 17 years old when she had the baby, you know, and I hadn't really been in trouble to that point, you know, but I was out doing a lot of unscrupulous stuff. I was out breaking the law. I was out doing a bunch of dumb shit, and I thought that my daughter would change that. You know, I thought when I had her like, yeah, Deric, this is going to, give you, and it didn't change. I mean, as we all know about this disease, it didn't change anything, and my disease was steady progressing, you know. So around the 18, is when I'd gotten a little bit of trouble underage, but a couple disorderlies and a couple, underage drinkings, shit like that. Yeah, once I turned 18, I wasn't 18 2 weeks, and I was already in the county jail, the adult county jail. I mean, it wasn't. It seemed like that Shelby County Jail there has a wing with my last name, and my family, and I come from a long line of knuckleheads that were always out there, breaking the law, and I was no different. I was out there doing the same stuff. I think the big part that shaped me my early, I just didn't have any. I didn't have any male role models in my life to look up to that were doing the right thing. All my, I had all my the people I looked up to were doing that, so I already had this false sense of, what was right, what was kind of wrong, and yeah, I paid the consequences time after time after time, and alcohol played a role. And every I've been arrested close to 50 times, and I was drunk 48 of them. And the other 2 times they probably caught me that day before I could get to the carryout, But I could never seen that. It was the cops' fault. It was always somebody's, but I could never see it being alcohol's fault. I had bad luck. I had all this shit, but it was definitely not. Alcohol was my friend, So alcohol was my friend until it wasn't. I could never see what it was doing. To never put two and two together that, hey, you drink, and this is what happens. I never could really see that. I made a real. I got a job at 18. Actually kept that job from 18 all the way till 30, and I don't know how. I really don't know how. I would come into work beat up. I'd had black eye, stitches, my head bashed in. I mean, these guys would see me come in, and that's how I kind of kept the job. I had a couple plant managers that liked me a lot. Even though I was a bad alcoholic, and I had a real good work ethic, if you could get me to work. Um, I would come stumbling in hungover every morning, and the plant manager had me up in his office, and he he got a kick out of the here the last time. I don't know if the guy was living like vicariously through me or what, but he got a kick out of the escapades. And I would tell him what had happened last night. He'd tell me to get the hell out of here and go to work, and that's what I did, and that's how I kept my job. Um, so that was the last until recently, from 30 to 45 that I could say that I kept a job steady. So at 30, drugs are a part of my story as well. At 30 is when I really, my drug addiction took off, and I no longer had a drug problem and an alcohol problem, and I no longer could, I couldn't go to work every day, um, you know, um, even if I wanted to. It was, my whole 30s, from 30 to 40 was, a really bad 10 years. A lot of shit happened in those 10 years. So it's the normal though, you know. So I kept on facing consequences after consequences. I never got away with too much of shit ever. It never. I mean, except for driving drunk, I never got a DUI in my life, and I don't know how, but I never got a DUI. And I drove blackout drunk for a long time, you know. But yeah. So drugs really took a hold of me. Bad. So then, you know, I wasn't, you know, employable. So then, you know, I started committing crimes to support my habit. Um, and, you know, most of that stuff I got away with that, you know, I never got, I mean, I didn't get caught for, you know, a lot of the thefts and stuff of that nature. Um, which, you know, looking back on, I wish I would have, you know, maybe it would have changed something, you know. So the pattern for me was at this point I would go. I was pretty much bouncing from woman to woman, you know, stay with for a while till you know they got tired of my shit, basically, you know, and have a kid or two, and then you know get thrown out and you know repeat the process, you know. So that went on for a while, and you know I ended up with 7 kids with 4 different women throughout the process, you know. I don't regret. Um, I was irresponsible, you know, to say the least. But you know, I definitely don't regret my children um, at all. Um, but I neglected my children, you know, all through my using and my drinking. And it's really unfortunate what this disease takes from families, you know. Through yeah, I have like half of my kids will talk to me and the other half won't, you know. And I mean even after everything and you know I don't blame them really, because I did some pretty horrible stuff. I made some I mean I did everything to them that my dad did to me, you know, and I always said I wasn't going to do that, and I repeated the process, but probably worse. um, so yeah, went to a bunch of rehabs, psych wards. They uh, they didn't help. You know, I think well, obviously, I mean, I think I went to rehabs for all the wrong reasons, but you know, I did go to the psych ward for the right reason because yeah, I needed to go. Um, so most of you know my wife. Me and Miranda got together in 2018, and we were both sober at the, you know at that time, and she'd well we were together about a month, and then we, you know, we were both using, and she'd gotten some trouble, and she had to go do some jail time here in Mercer County, and I really through that 6 month period that she was gone, I really fell apart. I mean, like my life was already shit, but it really, really, really turned into shit. Um, I had a couple family members die I mean, all throughout these years, I'd had a family member or two die of this disease like every year, or friends, or you know. But yeah, I'd had a couple family members that died. Miranda, you know, so I was pretty much like in a really, really dark place. And you know, I really just didn't give a shit, honestly, anymore. The day my funeral of my aunt dying, I went and got a bunch of drugs and overdosed, and they Narcaned me, and then they left, and then I did a bunch more drugs, and they Narcaned me again, and then they left, and then I did some more, and then they Narcaned me again. So I overdosed 3 times in one day, and it didn't stop me. I can remember it like it was yesterday. But my mom was pleading with me. Somewhere in the middle of it. She was just crying and screaming for me to quit. And it's how strong this disease is. And I'll tell you exactly how I thought at that moment. I was thinking, I wish she would just shut up so I can get high. Um, I wanted her to leave, and she's sitting there crying, begging for her son's life. Um, but that's what this shit did to me. Um, I so Miranda got out, and we went back to using drugs, and so we were doing that for about a month or two, and then we didn't have nowhere to go, and I decided we needed to get off the streets. So I had an uncle in Toledo that had connections. He worked in a rehab, and I told him, that we, needed to get in somewhere, and I was ready to change my life. But I really wasn't. I think that was out of necessity. Things went really good in Toledo until they didn't. I got into one rehab, Miranda got into another rehab, and we both ended up leaving the rehabs. And our lives turned to shit real quick. So we were back using again. So we've stayed in Toledo for a while. Come back, got a place with Miranda's best friends, and we were starting to. She got sober. I was sober. We were going to meetings for a while, probably a year, and then COVID happened, and I. My brother came to visit me one day, and I don't know what brought the conversation up, but like I said, I hadn't been going to meetings, and I hadn't been doing anything for my recovery. Uh, I was just a dry drunk, but he offered me drugs that when he come over and visit, and I said yeah, and yeah. So and I thought like just this how stupid I was. Like I can do this one time, nobody's gonna know. But it definitely wasn't one time. I was on felony probation at the same time, for some other, and so I quit going to probation, back in Sydney because I was dirty, and they put a warrant out for my arrest, and I had a felony warrant for a year, and so the day my last day of using, you know, um, I was out of everything. I got up and I stole Miranda's car and her rent money, and I went to go buy drugs. And she called the cops and reported the car stolen. And I didn't even know it. She had a tracker on my phone, so she knew exactly where I was at. And she she sent the cops to right to where I was at, so they didn't have to look. I was I was heading out the front door of my dad's house, and I ran right into the cops. I was I was relieved. I've been lying to my wife for a year. Been lying to all the people I worked with for a year, and I had this warrant over my head for over a year, and I was freaking tired of running. So yeah, I got arrested on a felony drug possession. It was basically a warrant for but it was for a felony drug possession that I had to go to court for, and I ended up getting a year in prison. So I had to go to prison, and that's where that changed my life. And I really didn't think that would, honestly, going into the situation, I kind of was skeptical that it would make me worse, because that's the kind of stuff and the kind of people that I've been around a lot in my life was the same type of people that I knew I was going to be living with on a daily basis. And it was rough. The prison, that system wasn't hard on me per se. The living conditions and everything. I'd never been to prison before, but I'd been to jail plenty of times, and I was kind of used to being the locked up part, you know. But what was different about here, the prison, was there was drugs everywhere. Fuck, everywhere. I mean, I just couldn't believe it on the, you know, here's me trying to stay away from all that shit, and it's everywhere, you know. So what had happened, I was in prison a couple months, and my daughter Indy had gotten really, really, really sick, and I didn't know. They transferred her to ICU, and we didn't know if she was going to make it. So I just remember this was the day that it changed. You know, I just remember how hopeless and desperate I felt that night because I couldn't get a phone call out. I couldn't get any news of my daughter's condition, and you know, I just didn't know if she was going to make it through the night. And she's 9 months old. Um, so I prayed, you know, and I remember praying that night. You know, it was probably maybe one of the first honest prayers of my life that night. And you know, so I got up the next morning. I didn't sleep that much that night, and I finally got to call home, and I talked to Miranda, you know, and she was doing better. You know, she was still in ICU, you know, but she had made it through the roughest part. You know, she was still really sick, but she was doing better, you know, and that was the turning point. I knew because, you know, I was gone and I missed her first steps. I missed her first birthday. I missed a lot of firsts, you know, and Cash is, you know, a lot of stuff that I missed while I was gone. And I just kept looking at, you know, all these guys around me in prison. It's like, I just didn't want that. I just didn't want that life. And, you know, I lived that life for so freaking long that I just didn't. There was no allure. There was no to that life, you know, that I coveted at one point. You know, I used to think it was cool back in the day when I was younger. It was like a rite of passage on the streets. You know, how many times you got locked up, or you know, and kids nowadays think it's cool to get a prison number, and it's freaking not cool at all. But there's people out there that think it's cool to go to prison. I definitely do not recommend it for anybody. If I don't. But yeah, so that's what changed me. I got to do the last of my time. They sent me to a halfway house in Dayton. I did 40 days there, and I got to come home for the last 5 months of my sentence on an ankle monitor. You know, so I got to be with my family and work. And it had its own challenges those 5 months of being because I could only go to work. They let me go to one meeting a week and bare necessities, Walmart, you know, once a week. So while my family's out living their life, you know, I'm stuck, you know, at home. It was a rough, more psychological, mental time for me, you know. but I'm the one that put myself there, but since then, I haven't had to have a drink or a drug, since I got arrested that day. What it's like for me now. I I kind this year kind of changed. My uncle, the one that got me in rehab, has been clean about 20 years, and he said, Deric, I can honestly tell you, every year of my recovery, my life has gotten better, and this is my third year, and I can honestly, say that statement is true. Life just keeps getting better. I've passed I set goals for the year, and like some of them I'd passed in like March and April. It's like I didn't think that I could get this accomplished by the beginning of 2025. And I did it in 4 months. There's just stuff. Life is totally different when I'm not kicking and fighting and trying to do shit my way. Um, I the steps were where it's at. I have been in this program before, and I wouldn't get a sponsor, and I wouldn't work the steps, and I don't recommend that at all. Yeah, so I paid the price for that too. Usually, after a month or so, I was back out the door. So I made up my mind, that I was going to do it different. I was going to take suggestions, listen to somebody that knows way better than me, because everything that I thought I knew got me a seat right over there for the rest of my life. My best thinking, is shit. Um, the steps helped me find out who I am. I really was never going to do a fourth and really the steps. I was never going to do a fourth and a fifth step. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody. I was never going to do a fourth and a fifth step. That's why I didn't want to do the steps. But I did a fourth and a fifth step. Um, and it wasn't that bad, really. Um, Life's good. I got a decent job. Bills are paid. Yeah, it's all due to this program. The big thing, my relationship with my higher power has grown and grown and grown, and it keeps on growing. The beauty in that, when I found out I didn't have to worry about shit all the time anymore, like how this is going to get paid or how, it just gets paid, man. I mean, that's all. I used to be the biggest worrier, now I have faith, when I didn't before. Um, this program's given me a life worth living, that I never thought I would be able to get to 46, never thought I'd get to 40, and I didn't really think I'd get to 30, at the rate I was going. But I still got a lot of good years left in me, I think. Um, yeah, so life's pretty good today, I I still make mistakes, but they're not as big of mistakes. I think I'm able to bounce back from my mistakes. I think a little bit better today than the way I used to. I used to feel everything, a little bit too much. I think. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got, guys. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you, Deric.
alcoholic.
Great.
Thanks, Derek. Good lead, good story. You tell it exactly like it should be told, the way it's supposed to be, and you tell it honestly, what happened, what it was like, and what it's like now. And with that, we'll open up the floor to any comments.
Hey Derek, I'm Tom, alcoholic. I'm really glad I was here listening to your lead. I listened to the other lead you had, a little longer than this one. But, this is just as good and if not better because you got experience. So, thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Mercy alcoholic.
Richard.
Thanks, Derek. Kind of part of, well, I like how you described your first drunk and how that made you feel. I think I was saying the other day, I was telling Gary, we were talking about that. I think the first drunk is just as important as I remember the last drunk. There's that. You were saying you didn't go to the psych wards. Out of necessity, I did for a place to stay. I'd get drunk and have nowhere to sleep, so I'd call, or I was homeless at the time, so I just called the psych ward. And I was talking about that earlier today, actually too. They put me in the psych ward in Fresno, California, VA. And the people that came and saw me weren't the doctors or anybody, it was the drug and alcohol counselors. And they said, you need to get back into rehab. It's like, no, I don't, I need to go home. And, I didn't stay sober after that either. And, but I related to a lot of your stories, we get this little background the same, and I'll pass. Thanks for really there.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
I'm Gary, I'm an alcoholic.
Gary.
That was a good lead.
Yeah.
I see growth in that lead. You know, that's what it's all about, that moment of clarity when you reach down and you're getting to pray for your daughter. And something happens. That's how this program works. Something happens, you surrender. And so just learn to live this program one day at a time, and God will take care of it if you trust Him. Thanks for being my friend, Derek.
Thanks, Gary.
Gary.
I'm Travis, I'm an alcoholic.
Travis.
Derek, that was a great lead. I could relate to a lot of it. Probably like 80 or 90% of it, honestly. So, it was just really nice to hear it. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Don's an alcoholic.
Don.
You and I have a special relationship because we know what it's like to get sober behind the bars in prison. It's a different reality, but it's all the same to the person of Alcoholics Anonymous. It doesn't matter where it's at. It works. We found it behind the bars, and then we found it out here when we got here, within these rooms and these tables. And that's the most important thing that I take from your leaders. You realize that the true program works around these tables. And that's how we stay this way, around these tables. And the sponsor of my program, I couldn't just sit at a table with Alcoholics Anonymous. I have to become involved in that table with Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what makes it so important. Once I became involved in these tables, my life got better, and like your uncle said, every year it gets better and better and better. It doesn't matter what life throws at you. As long as you can work your program every day, the 12 steps in your life every day, which I see you're doing, you will find that if you can get up every morning and you want to stay sober more than you want to get drunk, your life will continue to get better. I'm sure you lead, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Greg, I'm an alcoholic.
Greg.
Man, if I'd known all that stuff, I don't know whether I'd signed up for this deal or not. I was with you for your 4th step and your 5th step, and I know how accomplished you felt and how it was pretty obvious that God was doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself. One of the joys of this program is getting to watch somebody grow. And you're doing a real good job. Don't get a big head, keep coming to meetings, do your reading. And call your sponsor. And you could come out and help with the chores now. Wouldn't hurt a bit. Good luck, Derek. I love you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
My name's Wes, I'm out
Hey,
of
Wes.
Thanks, Eric. So, what struck me was, we all gotta overcome a past. I don't know if I had the, strength to overcome your past. I didn't have that bad. But I have my own, things I inherited from my dad primarily, and I still see them in some of my character defects today. I still carry. It's like, we grow up with modeling ourselves after the first generation. What else do we do? That's the way it is, right? So it takes a long time to get to the point where I decided I wanted to change and I wanted to be different. I didn't know what that was and I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew it wasn't what I used to be. So I heard that, and so I appreciated that message. Thank you there.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks, Wes.
I'm Sandra, I'm an alcoholic. I mean, about time I heard your lead. I've been trying to hear your lead for, I don't know, I think the last 3 times you gave your lead.
Now you heard it.
I come last Friday to hear your lead and somebody wasn't here. So I definitely had to come to tonight when I heard you was doing your lead. But, yeah, I mean, I think you're one of the first people that I met when I come to these rooms and what I consider a friend. And I already knew we had a lot of things that kind of in our past that is similar, but I'm glad to know more about you, and I'm glad to hear your lead, and thanks for sharing with me, and thanks for being my friend.
I'm Dwayne, I'm an alcoholic.
Dwayne.
Yeah, Deric, we share one thing here. Well, we had kids with one woman, but my children aren't talking to me now again. And that's pretty tough, but I caused a lot of that hurt and harm or whatever that's making them not want to talk to me. But I gotta leave it in God's hands, and I, just gotta keep doing what I do and keep doing the best I can. And I'm glad you're doing as well as you are. Like you said, you had goals set for 2024, you got them done for 3 or 4 months. That's pretty awesome. Just keep doing what you're doing and it'll work. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Thanks, Dwayne. Anyone else? If not, we'll close with the Our Father.
Yeah, straighten your back out.
Oh, God.
Brian, right? Yep.
Hang on.
Derek, take us out.
They woke us up this morning.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. Keep coming back, it works and work. Shut the window, will you?
Here's the
my girlfriend, Jane Spencer's gonna be listening
Jane
tonight.
Spencer.
Yeah,
I think I've heard that name before.
I read that, yeah, I like that one today.
Hey, you have to turn your phone on.
Thank you. Derek,
Yeah.
remember you gotta call Miranda. We'll hear you.
She just wants to know you're not throwing her down the tube.
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah.
Pretty good, how you doing?
Corey.
Courtney.
Corky.
Courtney? Courtney. Yeah, he's a good man. He's here every week.
Yeah, Wayne.
Oh, that's Don. Don, yeah. This is Deric. Who, you look like Ryan?
You are.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
How you doing, Brad?
Well, we make both beans.
We had to bring all the mirrors down.
Kinda felt pretty good. You know what?
Yeah, it did.
That's not why I keep doing it.
You're on
Yeah,
lots.
but I'll quit doing it.
No, you don't have to.
No more company like
You
that.
gotta stay one thing.
You think about
somebody
it.
to get
And
their
your name's
meeting off
Paul
the bat, be
Frederick?
right with the
Paul
wife.
Frederick? Nice to meet you, Paul Frederick. You're Dale. Dale George Brad.
Oh, that's all I
You're,
got.
you take care of the Weston, right?
I've got a great one.
Weston, I think it's next year.
Hey, Charlie,
It's
you're
Wayne.
gonna need a ride from the bowling alley. He thought all you had to do was take you to the bowling alley, so now you're gonna have to find a way home from the bowling alley.
Desi did a nice job on this.
Sebastian gave me
You're not going to
$32
the bowling
cash
alley?
for part of paying me back. So I ordered him a pizza. With the money.
He's always fucking with
Right, right?
I'm always fucking with him. He
You gotta pay me for the plane ticket.
Well, my
But you're
sister
going to
needed
the
to
bowling
go
alley?
there with those Spurs. It's a
I
rat.
took the Greyhound up here.
Fred's like,
Yeah.
Who?
2
No,
weeks
no,
ago.
Oh, he is
it
saying.
was down
Yeah,
there,
over
she
the
ran
place
around.
where like all his buddies were living, and they each had a room.
Burn
They were
walls,
each
they
living
down
out.
there.
They moved out of there, and him and his girlfriend got their own place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just don't get
Yeah,
out.
I
Bring it
don't
home.
know how that's going.
Awful.
But he's 25, so I guess it's about that time. You available?
Desi got to put the ceiling fan in. Just switch it one out, yeah.
If I can get my Orkin guy
Too much
changed.
stuff for him.
It's not till 4 o'clock.
Oh,
Permit doing that?
I can do that.
It's not, they're not moving that day, they're gonna inspect, see what they need to bring to do.
no, well then you don't need me for the.
Yes, I do, my sister says she's gonna be there.
You got what?
I said, no, you're not gonna be there. She said, yes, I
Right.
am gonna be there.
That's just a serenity prayer
We'll
on
see
the
who wins
inside
that
of this.
battle, what month, by Tuesday.
Good job. Yeah, I remember you told me that. So ready?
What are you moving?
That's right. They
I'm
moved
not.
around,
Oh, okay.
My sister, the executor, is emptying my house out. Cause she can't,
Well, I date there.
not cause she needs any of it, just
Yeah,
cause she
from
can't.
Albany, Indiana. Over, picked me
She
up.
don't
from
like you,
Atlanta.
Dwayne.
The movie.
She's not the only one.
Ask these guys who work like, where are you from? Like,
Yeah, that's the way it is.
They tell me,
She's gonna be rich off her
I
retirement.
do I ask them? I don't know nothing about it.
See it.
I work there, but I always have people like,
Was that the 30th?
or they're
Travis.
traveling, more like I can relate to.
Yeah, I have
Or
one
they're
call
something,
every weekend I work.
No, man, because of shit, he wasn't in the Bible study
I'm
last
here
night.
tonight,
It's about an hour
and
for mine.
the next 3 days, and then I'm coming
Oh,
back.
yeah, I've never involved in
We got
Buddy
it.
hadn't
We
called
had
you.
I hadn't
it.
even.
Yeah, called it.
I don't know anything
And
about
then I'm gonna work
Wayne.
for 3 days.
Plus I've been to the day,
And on that
Yeah.
Maybe someday when you die, you'll catch on.
huh? Oh, man, she's exciting, isn't she?
Sure.
Oh, you're doing pretty good.
Not a lot of people. I set up a lot of people.
Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. Hey Greg, make sure you send them the notebook in the basket so I can write down the dollars.
Okay. Yeah, I really like her.
And is that little notepad in there? You can always write down the dollar amount you intend to stick in that here. Hey, did you hear about that, Gary? Work my pressure change for his house.
I know who you are.
We did 2 or 3 days. Think shower and use the bathroom and whatnot there. Rich just came out there and they had to order a tank. It had to be a different pressure tank.
She'll be on.
So he's
Yeah.
And I talked to
I can
another
understand
six-year-old,
that.
and they said,
She just started.
No other work is
no,
going on.
nobody's got that much already telling him it was alcohol.
Charge him?
Yeah, she's over it. It's a,
I
haven't been there since I was having really nice smile. I was up nice here.
Well, this is what hurt right here. Oh, it makes a side of my face.
Oh, I don't even stand.
I called the nurse, nurse advice line. They told me, call 911, we think you're having a stroke. Oh, shit.
Or Steve's mom.
I started
When somebody
watching
else thinks you're having a stroke, you know, that's,
the women's college basketball because of her.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where's this?
They've got damn games and then just might got around in the last 3 minutes.
And the thing is,
You
she's
sound
all,
kind of depressed. You sure you don't want
Yeah.
to? You sure you?
and she's not selfish. If you're open, she's gonna get you that ball.
Yeah, most of all.
Before you say you're open, flag day, she'll get you that ball.
Well, them men, all they do is slam dunks, so back and forth.
Well,
She's got one hell of an eye.
anytime we got the NBA, all them son of bitches will be breaking into our house.
You ain't prejudiced, are you?
No,
I didn't think so.
no.
Jeez. Anybody ever shoot at you?
Was I
in
talking that loud?
Hey,
I
Greg,
gotta be careful, this is the,
Greg, when you grew up in Lyman, did any of them guys ever take a shot at you?
oh, no, no. They beat the hell out of me though a couple times.
I guess that's before guns were real popular, huh? You're lucky. It was just switchblades.
Oh, yeah. If I'd have grown up now, I'd been dead.
I'm sorry, what they call a bad neighborhood in
I
my
wouldn't
mind, I
have
call
to
it
worry
a good
about going
neighborhood.
home.
I'm Greg, alcoholic.
Greg.
Welcome everyone to the Coldwater Friday night meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Those who wish can join me in a moment of silence for all the alcoholics out there still suffering, and then the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes or primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I've asked a friend to read how it works.
I'm Richard Alcoholic. How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves through the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault, they seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. Many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nailing to let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked for protection and care with we abandoned. Here are the steps we took which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, can't believe that the power greater than ourselves could restore sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when they do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry the spiritual alcoholics and the practical principles in all our affairs. Many of us disclaim in order to get through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down in Christian progress will claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholics and cannot manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if He saw.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
I've asked another of our friends to read what AA promises.
Good evening, I'm Greg, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Greg.
The promises. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Unless one's family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not to urge them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter. And there may be a valid reason for postponement in some cases. But we don't delay if it can be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things, gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises?
No.
They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
I've asked another friend to read the 12 traditions.
Well, Kevin, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Kevin.
12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. Number 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise.
lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn in public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
I've asked another one of our friends to read the daily reflection.
My name's Tom, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Tom.
When the going gets rough. It is designed for living that works in rough goings. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 15. When I came to AA, I realized that AA worked wonderfully to help keep me sober, but could it work on real life problems? Not concerned with drinking? I had my doubts. After being sober for more than 2 years, I got my answer. I lost my job, developed physical problems. My diabetic father lost a leg, and someone I loved left me for another. And all this happened during a 2-week period. That's some shit in there. Reality crashed in, yet AA was there to support, comfort, and strengthen me. The principles I had learned during my early days of sobriety became a mainstay of my life, for not only did I come through, but I never stopped being able to help newcomers. AA taught me not to be overwhelmed, but rather to accept and understand my life as it unfolded. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
I've asked another of our friends to read from the 24-hour book.
I'm Gary, an alcoholic.
Hi, Gary.
June 14th, AA talk today. In AA, we've learned that drink is our greatest enemy. Although we used to think that liquor was our friend, the time came when it turned against us and became our enemy. We don't know just what happened when this happened, but we know that it did because we began to get into trouble, jails, and hospital. We realized how that liquor is our enemy. It is still my main business to keep sober. Meditation for the day. It is not your circumstances that need ordering so much as yourself. After you have changed conditions, it will naturally change. Spare no effort to become all that God would have you become. Follow every good leading of your conscience. Take each day with no backward look. Face today's problems with God and seek God's help and guidance as to what you should do in every situation that may arise. Never look back, never leave until tomorrow the things that you are guided to do today. Prayer for today, I pray that God will help me to become all that He would have me be. I pray that I may face today's problems with His grace.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, I'll pass the 7th tradition basket while our friend Paul reads the announcements from the other AA groups.
Hello everyone, I'm Paul, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Paul.
I got a few bit of announcements. Tomorrow afternoon, when Mendon and St. Mary's Giving Hope group is having their anniversary. 11:30 Indiana Avenue, St. Mary's. Doors open at noon, eat at 1, lead at 2. Leah Corwin is going to be giving the leads there. Door prize is 50-50, bring a friend and a covered dish. News, everybody come and eat. We're having Lee's Chicken. Annual Summer Fast at Pine Lake, Saturday, July 20th. 4640 West State Road in Byrne, Indiana. Meet at the park at noon. Park opens at 10, so go anytime. Bring family, friends, swim or don't swim. Fellowship free, we'll start grilling around 2. Meet the rider, bring drinks and a covered dish. At Mittens to Swim, ages 4 to 9, $7. 10 and up is $9. And New Bremen's anniversary, Monday, August 5th. Having pizza to celebrate 20 years for the group. Salt Creek's water will also be provided. Food fellowship at 11:30, meeting at noon. It's Lions Community Center, 212 Walnut Street, New Bremen. Pizza, I might have to get to that. And District 23 gathering, August 17th, Casey Geiger Park, 170 East Greenville Road in St. Mary's. I'm gonna put a sign up, but I messed up last year. Use the east entrance by the basketball court. Had everybody going in the other entrance, so I had a sign up there too, but I didn't think nobody saw it. Meet at noon, eat at 1. We're gonna have cornhole, frisbee golf, putt-putt. Putt-putt is free for our group there. Bring covered dishes of bread, we're gonna have hamburgers, hot dogs, soda, and water. Good time, good time. Save the date, 26th Ohio State Convention. That's down in, I think it's up in Independence, I believe. Yeah, right there it is. 62 Corey Lane, Independence, Ohio. It's the 23rd through the 25th. Hilton, Doubletree by Hilton in Cleveland. Hotel Cleveland. Friday, okay, yeah, that's 23rd through the 25th. Alright, then the AA Al-Anon barcode here for Al-Anon band here. Barcode you can scan and join up to that. Men's Recovery Retreat. Spiritual Center, Maria Stein, 2365 St. John's Road, Maria Stein. Friday, July 19th, Sunday, July 24th. There's a bunch of like registration sheets here. Excuse me, anybody wants to fill up or get some info on it. And that's it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. I want to apologize for the coffee tonight. That's the first time I've made it in an urn like that. I heard it's a little strong tonight.
I like it.
That's good, man. It will keep you awake.
All right then. I've asked our friend Brad to explain the token system.
Hi everybody, I'm Brad, I'm an alcoholic. Here at Coldwater, Friday night, we hand out tokens for different lengths of sobriety. And we start these tokens, just like it's suggested, we work our program 24 hours at a time. Is there anybody here that needs a token? A 24-hour token? 1 to 3 months? 4 to 6? 7 to 9? 10 to a year? We do have an 18-month token if someone needs one of those. Any years thereafter? Anybody have any time they'd like to have recognized?
Kevin, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Kevin.
On the 10th, I had 22 years.
All right.
I'm Deric. Monday at 8 o'clock, I'll have 37.
I'm Karen, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Karen.
On the 11th, I had 11 years.
Well, we all have today.
Brian, I'm alcoholic,
Power
and
Okay, we
on the
got one
11th,
more.
I had 11 months.
You guys need tokens?
No, I already got mine.
Okay.
I got it last week.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Okay, before I introduce our lead tonight, I wanted to just share something real quick. I've read this several times, but the last time I read it, something just struck me that I said, man, if this doesn't describe the Coldwater Group, I don't know what does. But it's from the doctor's opinion in the big book. And he says, many years ago, excuse me, one of our leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital, and while here he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to the other patients here. With some misgiving, we consented. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. And when I read that, like I said, it hit me. That describes our group.